Hello beautiful soulmates, what's up and welcome. So in today's video I thought to share with us on how to achieve this beautiful Ankara palazzo pants with drawstrings and a waistband. It looks so gorgeous and is actually trending. It's your girl Ua Apparel. In case it's your first time, you're welcome. Kindly hit the subscribe button and let's get started. So to start with, we'll be requiring 3 yards of Ankara fabric. If you're of a bigger size, you would need more than 3 yards. Okay, so I'll go ahead now to cut out my fabric for the front pattern. So we're going to be taking our front pattern separately before taking the back pattern. So I have my fabric cut out now, and at the very top I am taking my starting line, which is what I usually do. So to know the size of fabric required, for me it is my hip circumference divided by 4, which is 10 inches, and then you add extra 8 inches allowance. But if you do not want your palazzo pants to be very bogus, you can reduce the extra allowance to 6 inches. And so you can see I have 18 inches there plus an extra 1 inch as the fabric which I'll be using for the front. And so it's in 2 pieces, which I'll be cutting separately later on. So from our starting line, I'm going to be leaving out 2 inches for my waistband. So that is what I'm indicating at the top there. And so I'll go down by 10.5 inches, which is my hip point. And from my hip point, I'll be taking my crushed area or my flap, okay, as the case may be. So that's the indication I'm making there right now. And I'll go ahead to rule a straight line across. Please take note that for your flap, you can go as far as 5 inches, okay? Because this is a palazzo pants, and if you are a person that drags trouser to the belly or to high waist, please ensure you take a measurement of 5 inches. So I'm taking the full length of my palazzo pants now of 42 inches, and I will go ahead to rule a straight line across it. So that extra fabric left will be for the folding at the border of our trouser. So on my hip line, I'm going to be taking my hip circumference measurement of 10 inches first. So I'll make a point there, and then I added extra 5-inch allowance to it. I also repeated the same measurement on the crushed line, and then I used my straight rule to connect it back to the starting line. Then on my hip line, I'll go further to take an extra 2-inch allowance or 2.5-inch allowance. You can go as far as taking 3 inches. So this point will allow us to take our cuff shape, all right, which will serve as the flap area. So you can see me using my curve rule to draft my curve. So I'll be connecting that point all the way to the full length of this trouser. So for me, I wanted to shape in my trouser by reducing the bottom or the border by 2 inches. You could leave yours like that. So the 1-inch allowance you are seeing there is the extra from the very top that we do not require. So ensure to remove that if you have extra fabric. So you can see I've taken my 2-inch shaping and I connected it back to the flap area. So at the waist of my pants, I am taking a 1-inch measurement, and this I'll be connecting it back to the other points using my straight rule. So after that, I went ahead to cut out my pattern for the front of our palazzo pants, okay? So I'm also cutting on the other side. So I have my 2 pieces of fabric required for the front. So this will be using to cut on the back pattern. So I have my fabric cut out already for the back of our trouser. As you can see, the fabric for the back of our trouser is bigger and wider than that of the front. So on the waist, you can see that there is a difference between the back and the front. The back fabric is higher. So what I'm going to be doing now is going up by 1 inch. So I'll make a point there, and I'll be using my straight rule to connect it to the other end of the waist, okay, like I did the front pattern. All right, so it is important that the back fabric or the back of the trouser is higher than that of the front. This helps to sit properly on the waist. So on my hip line, I came forward, or I came out by 2 inches. So ensure to do that. You can take a measurement of 2.5 inches as the case may be. Then also on my crushed area or the flap area, I'm drawing that straight line to the back fabric as well, and I'm also taking a measurement of 2 inches. So I made a point there. So from that point now, I'm drafting my curve to the point on the hip line, and then I'm using my straight rule to connect it all the way to the top. All right, so this is the curve for the back fabric. Then also at the border area of the back fabric, I am also taking a 2-inch measurement, and then at the middle as well, I took a 2-inch measurement. So I'll be using my straight rule to connect all the points together now from the flap area to the border. All right, so that's basically it for the drafting of the back pattern of our palazzo pants. So I went ahead to cut out my fabric, and then I'm also opening it on the side as well. So now we have 4 pieces of fabric. Then the last and final thing I want to do now is to make a notch at the border area. The extra allowance after the full length of our trouser is where I'm making my notch to know where to fold the fabric, or the extent to which my folding at the border area would get to. So around the curve area, I'm simply taking an 1/2 inch allowance measurement using my chalk, and then I'll be running my stitches for the front fabric and then the back fabric. And after I was done, this is what the front fabric is looking like. So now we're going to be working on the pocket area, and to do that, you can see me go down by 1 inch. So that point is where we're going to be attaching the pocket fabric from. So I'm taking a measurement of 7 inches. So this would also serve as the opening, the point which we can put our hand through, which is the pocket hole. Okay, so I'm making a notch at both points now, and then this piece of fabric is what I'm going to be using to draft my pocket fabric. So the width is 6 inches, while the full length of the pocket is going to be 10 inches. So I'll fold first in 2 and then in 4, and I'll go ahead to cut it out. So ensure to do it as you see me do right now. So from the side, I'm taking my 7 inches measurement there. So I'll make a point. From that point, I'm going to be drafting my curve. I'll be taking my shape. So you can see the full length is 10 inches there, and the width is 6 inches. Okay, so after shaping it, I went ahead to cut it out, and now I have my 4 pieces of fabric. Okay, so on the front fabric, I am placing one on both sides. So ensure to place the wrong side on the right side of your trouser. I hope you understand. The wrong side on the right side of your trouser. Okay, the wrong side facing up on the right sides of your trouser, and I'm holding it in place using my pins. So ensure that you go down by 1 inch while attaching your pockets. The 1 inch that was taken initially at the top, ensure to leave that allowance before placing your pocket or holding it down. So I'll go over to the sewing machine now to stitch it in place, and after I was done, this is what it is now looking like. All right, so for both the back and the front. So next, I'm going to be stitching my pants trouser on the sides first. So the back fabric is going to be wider than that of the front. Just make sure you drag it together and it aligns properly. Don't worry that the back is bigger than the front. Okay, so hold it in place. You can see me using my chalk now to draft a 1 inch allowance, which we are going to be stitching on. okay? So ensure to take your 1 inch allowance for your stitching allowance on the sides, on both sides. So from the pocket area, you see me indicate now with my finger the portion where we're going to be running our stitches. I'll go ahead to do the same on the other side as well. Next to that, I would also be stitching the border area of our pants trouser. So ensure to do your folding on that allowance that was left. So I'm making my fold twice, and I'll go ahead to run my stitches as I'm indicating with my finger. Okay, so this is what it is looking like after I was done stitching. You could run your stitches after folding once, but I did my folding twice. So what I'm doing now is to arrange my palazzo pants in place, because we are going to be stitching around the flap area. So ensure your trouser is put or aligned properly, and then you'll be running your stitches from the crushed or the flap area. So take a 1 inch allowance as well on the flap and run your stitches. So this is what my pants trouser is looking like already. So I've flipped it to the right side, and I've also gone ahead to iron it. So next we're going to be working on the waistband area. I'll be taking the circumference for the palazzo waist area as I'm doing right now. So for the waist, it is 58 inches. Okay, so this measurement is what I'll be using to cut out the fabric for the waistband. So mine is 58 inches. I have two pieces of fabric here. It is 5 inches wide and it is 59 inches of length. Okay, so I'll be stitching on both sides. As you can see, I've joined it together. I stitched it by 1/2 inch with the extra 1 inch I added to the fabric. Okay, so on one side I have stitched now. On the other side, you can see the indication I left there using my chalk. So I will stitch both points downwards, but leave that 1 inch allowance there. So that hole you see is where we're going to be passing our elastic band through. So ensure you follow the details for this. So now I'm going to be attaching the band on the trouser. The measurement is the same. If you followed the details I gave, you would get the same measurement while attaching your band to your pants trouser. So I'm simply holding the band in place now on the trouser using my pins, as you can see. So this is what it is like. I'll go ahead now to run my stitches around that portion that I've held using my pins. So after I was done, this is what it is now looking like. Okay, so next we are going to be attaching our elastic band or placing the elastic band through that hole. So the length of this elastic band is 27 inches. So I took half of the 58 inches and I reduced it by 2 extra inches. Okay, so it's stretchy and it will sit properly for my waist size. So after I was done attaching the band, this is what it is now looking like. So you could leave it like this, or you could run an extra stitch on the waist to make it more smoky. Okay, so the last and final thing we're going to be doing is placing or passing through the hole our drawstrings, and this is basically it for the making of our palazzo pants with elastic bands and drawstrings. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, kindly hit the subscribe button, and in case it's your first time, thank you for being a part of this sewing community. We love you here. I will be seeing you on the next one. Until then, stay fabulous. It's me, your girl, Owa Apparel.